Hello, 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 and welcome, ladies and gentlemen. We're gonna watch some Strasbourg, some Strasbourg, and just chit chat. It's uh, it's Thanksgiving, so your boy's off work today and tomorrow, so I'm available at a more reasonable time for our UK friends. Fuzzbrain's here. Good afternoon. What's going on, homie? Um, Patrick Schick fan is here. We got some familiar names. Yeah, I figured I would just I was gonna watch this game, so I was like, you know what? Why not just do it on stream and chat? We can talk about Chelsea smashing Barcelona. We can talk about Arsenal this weekend. We can talk about transfers. We can talk about Strasbourg, who I think are so. UEFA have this as a back three, not a back four. Um, so we'll see. Like back three versus back three can be really stingy, but I'm pretty curious to watch Sar versus Mateta, and I'm pretty curious to watch Amiga versus like a very strong Premier League backline. I think that'll be pretty fun. And Penders. Let's see how Penders does against Premier League opposition. He's been good the last couple weeks for Strasbourg. Buzzbrain, time to vent. People need to put some respect on Enzo Fernandez's name. He's one of the best AMCs in the world. Yeah, I mean, I said this on the pod, right? Like, or maybe it was on stream. I can't remember. He's just like, he's not the thing that people want him to be. He's very good. He's just not the thing people like thought he would be, and probably want him to be. But I think like there's obviously a very, very, very strong and productive player there. So that'll be fun to see how that develops. I do wonder if like a thing that kind of comes to mind is like do players enjoy the role they play, right? So like Enzo Fernandez is scoring lots of goals and is playing as a 10 and blah 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 blah. But like if he like doesn't want to be that guy, if he wants to be Tony Cruz, like eventually he's gonna have to play as Tony Cruz, or it's not gonna be good. So I do wonder if he enjoys like box crashing scoring goals. But like, how could you not enjoy box crashing scoring goals? Lord Flack, who says, should I keep an eye on the Forest game for our new center back? How about no? Murillo is like, I just don't. The only way I would be into Murillo is if Forest got relegated. And then it was like, okay, there's a market opportunity. And you could do some player trading things. Then there might be something interesting to me. I will say, I think the matchup that I am the matchup in this game that I'm the most interested in watching is Omega versus these center backs, because he is the most urgently coming to Chelsea. And like, if you can hang versus Palace's center backs, you can hang versus, I don't know, 15 teams in the league. So I think that'll be fun. Wizard Aka says, I won't be happy until our average squad is under 20. Bring me the best 14-year-old goalie in the world. Arsenal played a 13-year-old in their UEFA Youth League game, which I really don't like. So I'm sure his name is like Munoz or something. I'm sure Chelsea would be very interested in signing him. Yeah, I'd love Dowman though. Dowman would be fun. Nima Desfili Jorgensen for Mbappe, who says no. Did you guys see the report like that? Apparently Jorgensen's going to look to leave in January, which is interesting because I'd heard a rumor this summer that Chelsea said to him like, "Do you want to go play at Strasbourg this season?" And we'll loan Pender somewhere else. And they said, and he said no. Which like, I definitely would have said yes if I was him. I definitely would not have walked away from that opportunity. Wassa celebrated when Jorgensen said he was out. You know what though? Like, what do you do? Because you have to get another goalkeeper. Like, you you don't have Bettinelli. You don't have there's not really an academy goalkeeper who's like gonna fill that. I guess is Bergstrom. Which whatever, fine. It would probably be good for you to it would probably be good for you to move on Jorgensen's amortized cost and wages and get whatever and just run thinner. But that's like, again, that's a deal you should do in the summer for next year's UEFA registration, right? Wassa says Slonina is around. Yeah, Slonina, yeah. That's fair. Slonina is around. I kind of forgot about him, to be honest with you. Lord Flacco says makes sense that the new Manyan news are approaching. I'm very curious because Sanchez has had a good year. Like, I would wait and see with that one. Like, that's certainly not a deal I would be signing in January. He's had a great year. He's been very good for Milan, but Sanchez has been pretty good. Like, I would definitely sit tight and wait and see on the goalkeeper. Callum Ross says, who is our wing options for next year? Same as this year, or does Kenda replace someone or join as a fifth, maybe alone? I would expect for next season on opening day that Tyreek George is gone and Kenda joins and nothing changes. That's what I would expect for next season, is that they run Gittins, Garnacho, Kenda, Estevao, Neto as your group of five, and Estevao sees some more 10 minutes to spell Palmer, who they will probably be smarter about his minutes moving forward. Yeah, that's kind of what I expect. But at the same time, like, adding Kenda to your A-list registration is actually pretty difficult to do. It's pretty difficult to do from like PSR perspective because he had a huge fee. So we'll see. Patrick Schick fan says you expect or hope. I expect. I don't know if I would do something tremendously different. But I think that's a fine group of wingers to roll with. I think a lot of it is like, where is Ryan Kavuma McQueen? You kind of want to think about that. Wassa says we have to add Lavia too. Yeah, we have to add Lavia. I don't know. We'll see. We also still don't know what the fee was for Omega, which I think is interesting. Wizard Aka says, is Penders good enough for number 2 and would this still support his development? He could definitely be the backup goalkeeper right now, but it would be bad. You need him to play. Kenda will be 10 million plus smallish wages. Yeah, it's 55. I think 55 euros, 55 million euros, something like that. Yeah, like a lot of it's about, I don't know, if Kavuma McQueen by the end of this year, you're like, no, you need to get him first team minutes next year, then it's an interesting spot. Thoughts on adding Guarassi? I liked Guarassi when he moved to Dortmund, but I had heard he has no interest in playing in the Premier League. That he was like, I want to stay in Germany. I like Germany. I like the Bundesliga. I like it suits my style of play. They pay me a lot of money. I don't really want to go to the Premier League. Thoughts on Mateta bed? You're not going to do it in January. They would not move him. You could maybe do it in the summer. Lord Flacco says, "What do we do with Mayuka?" Mayuka's in the same like camp of you should probably be getting him more minutes now. Like I look at the Giyu minutes and would not be mad if he was playing them. Roshan says the team's slightly too big when fully healthy. By a couple players, we're getting away with it because of the injuries. I think Chelsea have a normal kind of like baseline amount of injuries. It just depends who it is, right? The fact that it's been Palmer and Colwill means it's like more visible. But I think this is a reasonable number of kind of baseline injuries. Like I think Chelsea have played 26 players already this season, which I think is like a pretty good number to roll with. It's a very good slip. Strasbourg look good, man. They look at like a pretty solid level. It's a decent chance. Great little sub. Diego Moreira, what a nice little player. Shim getting a loan at the top of League One, lower half championship is next season. I would not be surprised if Shim got a loan the second half of this year. He scored really well in PL2. Like I said when we spoke to Chelsea Youth, like people wanting him to go on loan now, like he needs more time to do that. I think like he's done enough in the first half of the season that you should probably be thinking about a loan. Like I don't know who the team is, but I think you're actually probably looking like top end of the championship where he's going to play a little bit less, but it's going to be a better situation for him to produce. Because like I would rather Shim play 12 90s but score 6 goals in the back half of the season than him play 18 90s but score 6 goals. If that makes sense. You really don't want to Broya him where he goes somewhere where like he doesn't get to score. So I don't know. Bad Rabbit says Tammy at Bristol vibes. Maybe. I think that's a decent comp, but Bristol were pretty bad. But Tammy had the whole season at Bristol, if I recall correctly. Or maybe he had half a season and then another full season. I can't remember. Adam knows ball should Gusto start. We'll talk about Arsenal later. Do I think Satpayev could be ready to go straight to Strasbourg? No, I'd be pretty surprised. I would bet fairly heavily that Satpayev will get at least 6 months in training with the first team, playing PL2 games, and like acclimatized to moving to England, learn English, the whole like adapt thing. I think he will get at least half a season PL2 before anything. Yeah, that's what I would expect for Satpayev, who looks good. He scored a goal yesterday. Strasbourg look good, man. They are like totally at the level. Satpayev joins mid-August. It's a bit of a mess. Yeah, definitely. Like, I mean, if he's going to Strasbourg, you can definitely have him go train with that team. Actually, I don't know I actually don't know how the rules work. Like, is he allowed to train with Chelsea before his? Is he allowed to train with Chelsea before his? He actually joins. I don't know. Hmm, decent chance. Kieran1348 says, "Would you like us to sign Buati or Bergval um, for a carry-based progression midfielder?" I think Buati is like not that good. I think he's good in the way that like being 17, 18 and being able to stay on the pitch is good. But I don't think I would not be itching to get him. Um, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Oh, Kyrat, because of their schedule, will probably not let him go. Yeah, that's fair. That's a fair thought. Somebody asked when was the last time Pais played. That's a fair. He has not been. Yeah, 300 minutes in Liga. Not playing a lot. That's for sure. Do I think they bring in Anselmina or Sarr next year? No, I think neither will play for Chelsea next year. Uh, Kenda reminds me of Palace Olise. Do I see it? No, it's hard to judge because if you watch Sporting in Portugal, like they're so dominant that you don't see. I don't see that. And then when you watch Sporting in Europe, like more so. But honestly, I think Kenda is much more like wide winger to me. Like I don't know, maybe it's the countryman kinship, but I see so much Neto when I watch him for comparison. Uh, who do I think is the best midfielder Chelsea have for deep progression right now? Enzo Fernandez is Chelsea's best deep progression midfielder. He just happens to also be the best get in the box guy. And Moises Caicedo is very good at deep progression. So it's fine. Mm. ZZZ says didn't expect to see Drew. Yeah, it is. It is American Thanksgiving. I have the day off. I had a bit of a lie in. I figured I would stream while I watch Strasbourg. Roshan agreed on Sarr and Anselmino. Wouldn't mind a second Dortmund loan, maybe a Premier League loan for Sarr. Yeah, maybe. Maybe. I want both to get a loan somewhere they're gonna play in a back four. Predominantly. Do I see a problem with Kenda being no weak foot, or can that be fixed? I don't think it's that much of a problem, and I think it can be improved over time. I also think like some players are much better with both feet when you think they are than you think they are. Like look at Estevao. Estevao has been much better with his right foot than he looked like in in Brazil. Ranism says maybe you could have Coventry for the second half of the season. Yeah, maybe like as the third striker and he rotates in to play with the pair. I think given they're so tight for, well, not tight because they're actually like probably going to get promoted. Um, well, I shouldn't say probably, but they're far enough ahead in the table that it is looking likely. I would say what's more likely is they start pre-buying guys for the summer in January. That they start looking like, okay, we want this guy to come play in the Premier League next year. Um, let's get him in now. That's what I suspect their winter window will look like. So I don't think they'll take like young players on loan. Wassa says if Anselmino stays mostly fit, I'm just selling him if we can double our money. I can't lie. Yeah, him and Sar. Like I'm very happy to just player trading profit my way to lock in an 8 to 10 million pound profit right now. Do I fancy Chelsea winning against Arsenal? I think it's a more even game than the betting market suggests. I have not seen. Let's see what the markets have the game as. What's that? An implied probability. So like 50% chance Arsenal win. No, I think that might be a little bit steep, but not that much. Arsenal are really good, man. Arsenal are really, really, really good, I think. And like Chelsea have a 1 day rest advantage, but go on, Amiga. But the research that is that after 4 days, there's basically no difference. So swings and roundabouts, probably no Palmer, but they're no Odegaard, they're no Gyökeres. I don't know. Like, I will say, I almost always bet on Chelsea to lose or drop points because like I'm superstitious. However, uh, like I think this is a pretty good line, to be honest with you. Like I might, I'll have to run the model later. Well, I won't run it until Sunday, but because it depends on the lineups and stuff. But I would probably expect that the model will like Chelsea more here than the betting markets will. Not a ton, but I would bet it. ZZZ knowing your watch how long Jinx Penders is about to break both of his humorous bones. Don't joke about that. It's true. I am the Jinxer. Strasbourg are definitely losing, though. I'll tell you that. Thoughts on Slot? I think he gets sacked next month. You know, I think when you consider that their friend died, and then you consider that Van Dijk is pretty old, Alisson's pretty old, and like has been injured all year. Salah's pretty old. Like Salah is 35 in June. Not 32. He's 35 in June. Guys are all pretty old. I think they ran the extension gamut for all of them and said we'll gamble. And they got the upside the first year, and they're definitely getting the downside the second year. And I think you put those two things together, and that their recruitment for some reason bought $300 million of strikers and 0 midfielders as a team who already only had 3 midfielders that they could like really play. I guess 4 if you include Curtis Jones. They replaced their very good ball progression right back with a right back who doesn't touch the ball in the first 40% of the field in Frimpong. Like I think it was pretty bad transferring, to be honest. So I think there's no chance Slot gets sacked. I think more likely is he at the end of this year he only has 1 year left on his deal. I think what's most likely is instead of getting an extension, they give him like a bumper 1 year deal to avoid a lame duck thing. And they're like, okay, you're on notice. Figure it out. But like Konate's been brutal. Like Konate's had a terrible season because very clearly he's like, yeah, I'm leaving at the end of the year. Fuck you guys, I don't care. Van Dyke, like, look at the handball they give up. Like Van Dyke is playing basketball. Like, what are you supposed to do about that as a manager? That Van Dyke catches it. I don't know. Yeah, Liverpool aren't really a sacking club. I would agree with that. I don't think. The other thing is like, look at their games. They have been wildly here. They have been wildly unfortunate. Lose 4-1, dead even XG game, and the penalty is insane. Lose 3-0, dead even XG game. Lose 3-0, a game that's like a 1 goal loss. Lose 3-2, even game. Lose 2-1, game you should win. Lose 2-1, game you should win. Lose 1-0, dead even game. Like, I don't know. There's so many times that they win like 4 of those. And yes, they were probably fortunate to win a bunch of these games in here. But like, it's fine. Just take a breath. They'll be fine. What's a transfer that didn't work out for Chelsea that I really wish did? Is like Torres is the most obvious one because like if Torres was really good, it totally changes those early 2010s until like the Mourinho title team. Like KDB is an interesting answer to that question because like he did not work out. They just moved too early. Same with Salah. Like those are both transfers that are, if it sticks out, the shape of everything for a long period is very different. Who is a player that I'm trying to think of like a more interesting answer. Like Christian Pulisic, I think is a fun answer to that question because I thought he could. Actually, no, my answer is most obviously Kai Havertz. I thought Kai Havertz would be like best attacker in the world at 25, and it didn't quite work out that way. I will maintain that I think he was a good and useful player at Chelsea. Um, Not as good as he could have been or perhaps should have been. And I mean, I think everybody is happy with the deal that they moved on to. Um, but if Kai Havertz worked out, same with Timo Werner, I think both would have been very interesting. Who would they replace Slot with? I think they would replace Slot with Iraola. He already knows the Bournemouth guy. He's already worked with him. I think Iraola is like the obvious number one candidate for Liverpool. Yeah, a couple Lukaku shouts. I like that. Couple Lukaku shouts. The Lukaku one though, I think was like kind of a very likely to be dumb transfer. He was so old already. Like, even if it worked out, you weren't getting 4 years of like top production just because of his age. So, uh, Chelsea Youth says Adrian Mutu is the one who got away. That's good. In that vein, Matea Kesman was like a guy that I just really liked. For some reason, he's the first. I don't really know why. He's the first player that I remember like standing as a kid was Matea Kesman. That I was like, oh, this guy's gonna be so good. He scored all these. I had a. I can't. It was like 442 magazine or one of the soccer magazines, and I used to have these cool. I eventually cut them out and made these cool collages as a kid. But I remember in 442 magazine an article about Matea Kesman and all the goals he scored at PSV. Yeah, that's Shevchenko. There's a lot of Chelsea strikers on this list. Yeah, that would have been fun. Fuzzbrain, if I was the sporting director, what would I do this summer? I mean, a lot of it depends on how the rest of the season goes. Um, because I think if you have like Chelsea or something like 67% implied probability um for Champions League now, and so like assuming Champions League happens, my list looks very different than my list for Europa League. Because my list for Europa League is like I would do basically nothing. I would clear out some of the wages that I probably don't want, like guys like Tosin, um, guys like Gusto. I might move on from to do something else. Um, some of the wingers like Neto, you may choose to move on from. Um, but with if you make Champions League, I think you're in. You're like really locked into kind of the group you have. I think the one major thing I would do this summer is you either have to bring Jackson back into the fold or you have to go get a real nine. Like those are the two things. And like as much as I'm into Omega as a player, I don't think he is the answer to that question. I don't know. Um but I think like a nine is the one. Better Rabbit says, is it too early to look on from Delap or I personally, if you come to the end of the season and Delap has played similarly to the level he has in the Club World Cup plus the season with the kind of small minutes total so far, if that's what you get the rest of the year, and say he plays like 15, not even, he's not like I don't see how he's going to get to 1590s. If he plays like 1290s the rest of the way, if a mid-table or lower Premier League team comes calling and say we'll pay what you paid for him, I would move on. I would move on for sure. Just because I think like he's in a camp where like as a player he's a little bit older. Like by the end of the season he'll be 23 and a half. You then have like two decent seasons of Premier League data that you're like, this guy's just not that productive. And I think it's like a quick, either we get it, or we don't, and we move on. Like the same way I look at like Angelo Gabriel, the Brazilian. I don't know why he's not turning out. This guy. So like Chelsea loaned him for one season to Strasbourg. He was okay in that one season, and they were like, we probably haven't seen enough in terms of like future development. Quick flip, move on. Same thing with Sar, right? Like Sar, I look at like you will now have had 2 seasons of Premier League data or not Premier League, of Liga data at Strasbourg. You bought in early on the first season, And then you can look and be like, no, probably not the one. And you can just flip him for 22 or whatever, 25 or whatever. And it's fine. Like, that's the whole point of these kind of like end of, I don't know, these quote unquote player trading spots. Like, you can be somewhat snappy with your decisions to move on from guys. And so like Delap is firmly in that bucket to me of guys that, like, if you could, unless he hits, I would move on fairly quickly and do something else. Give me Julian Alvarez for 130 million. Sell Jackson and Delap. Well, that's not happening. Where does Jackson even go? I think there would be a lot of suitors for Jackson. I think Newcastle would be very happy to pay quite a fee for Jackson. I think there's a lot of teams on the continent that would be pretty interested. I think he would like do very well in Italy. Yeah, I think there would be people interesting. Jepson says bad time zone for me. Hoping it's Q&A time and my question gets picked up. Yeah, we're hanging out, dude. Ask a question. If I missed it, feel free to send it again. We're just watching Strasbourg, hanging out. Would we be in for Vinicius if we got Champions League and he's down for it? I don't think so. One, I don't really want Vinicius. Great. Nice finish from I don't know who that is. Not I don't know. Kind of unfortunate defending from Strasbourg. It's a good spot, but like this is one of the things with like really tall goalkeepers like Penders that I don't love is like, because they're so tall, when you get low ones that are like tight but not that tight, they go for the foot save, and like this is one that's probably wide enough he should go with his hands. Maybe not, actually. It might just be in a really good spot and he hits it really well. This will be the angle. No, I think it's hard to say. It's a good finish. It's a really good finish. Don't have any thoughts on Ansel Mina other than he looks like Mr. Beast. That's kind of true, actually. How does it work if we sign a new 9 and keep Delap, Pedro, Gui? Well, Gui will go play somewhere else next year for sure, unless he shows a lot the rest of the way here. I suspect he will play somewhere else on loan next season. Maybe Strasbourg. Like, I could see him going to Strasbourg off the back of. Oh, that's a terrible giveaway. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. That's gotta be. I can't wait to see how that's coded in the event data. I wonder if that's gonna get called the SAR dribble past Penders. That was something else. I was just gonna say that, like, of the Strasbourg center backs, the one I like is Hogsberg or whatever. So, okay, sure, man. Separate question: what's my general football take, and also separately my Chelsea hot take that I will defend to the death. Football hot take that I will defend to the death. I don't know if this is even a hot take, but like, I genuinely think, and this is no disrespect to anyone here, I genuinely think that if you closed your eyes and sorted a list by XG, it would be a better evaluator of striker talent than 99.9% of people who watch football. Like, when people are like, well, you need the eye test. Like, kind of, yeah. But at the same time, I really don't think, again, no disrespect, but if I just pulled a random person from Twitter and was like, here's 10 strikers, give me rank them in order of the number of goals they're going to score in the next 5 years, I don't think they would do better than me just sorting the list by XG. Like I don't know. Maybe that's my like general football hot take. My Chelsea hot take that I would defend to the death is that, and by the way, like I think for positions like center back, I think center back is like an impossibly difficult position to data scout. Like I don't think kind of general data metrics evaluate center backs well at all. At all, at all. Like I think it is firmly something you need to watch the player and put the two things together. I think defensive midfielders are similar. That you need to be very cognizant of that. So that's the thing. Chelsea hot take. I get okay. The other football hot take I have is that like in this is in reply to Fuzzbrain, who said my general hot take is that the Pep style of play ruined football. My hot take is that football has never been better, and I think this is true all the time, all of the time. That like the most recent era is always the best era. Again, we watched Bolivia on stream the other day, and like I guarantee you, good save. Good save. See that one he gets down well with his hands, Wosa. That's the one. I think like when we ever look at like prior eras, it's very rare that I think like there is something that is better. See, he does very well to get down with his hands there. He does very well. Chelsea take. Hottest Chelsea take. I don't know, like the Kai Havertz take people really hated that I was like, no, this guy's obviously good. Who else? Chalobah. I think Chalobah is probably a hot take en masse across whatever, all of Chelsea-dom. Me being so high on Chalobah is probably out there. I mean, I was like pretty early to the like I don't think Kepa's a very good train. That was a hot take at the time. I think now is pretty easily defensible. Jackson. I think Jackson is another one that like no, this guy's obviously very good. Is another one. Actually, somebody asked in chat earlier. They had a good question. They said something like why are you unwilling to give Delap time when you were willing to give Jackson time when he struggled initially? And I think that's a fair question. I think the point I think that the key difference between these two is that one, we have like many professional seasons of data of Delap, not many, 3.5. Where like he's just not that productive a guy, but also the underlying like level that Jackson showed while being somewhat frustrating was so much higher. Like Delap has at no point been anywhere near this, like not even close. So I think that's very interesting. I also was like kind of looking at my other screen. I did not see who Chilwell just came on for. But I love my boy Chile. I called Chile one of the best high and wide left backs in the world still, which I think that one I got cooked for, but he is very good at running in behind. Who got yanked? Was it Guella Due? And they moved Bar. Who got subbed? I did not see. I love Chile. That guy's the best. Oh, Hogsburg got yanked for him. Okay, all right, sure. I also like that like FOMO does not care because like this is not what it is at all. They're just like, yeah, whatever, who cares? Um, if we aren't going to selling Sterling, Setsy, or Chilwell, why aren't we just using them? Well, Chilwell is gone. Chelsea terminated his contract and he signed for Strasbourg, so he's gone. But I agree with you. I think it is the wrong approach to bomb squad guys. Uh, do. Yeah. So the thing on Jackson is like Jackson's underlings have just consistently been way higher than Delap at every turn. So I don't feel that strongly that like Delap. I haven't seen enough from Delap that I'm like, yes, you deserve the time to like see it out. Like this is one of the things I think about this with I think about this with managers a lot, right? Like if it were me, if I was like if I was an owner, my managerial hiring and firing policy would not be that dissimilar from Roman Abramovich in the sense that I would have like a couple non-negotiables or whatever in terms of things that I absolutely need them to do. Um, but also like I would be very eager to hire like young up and coming guys early, and if they did not show me what I wanted to see quick enough, I would just move on because they have shown nothing they have done has shown me that they deserve more time. So I don't know. Uh, would I say Amiga would be an upgrade on Delap? Yeah, I think Amiga is better than Delap. I think that's not a particularly controversial statement. What else? Who else is in here? When I say better to watch are actual quality, because the top Premier League teams these days are significantly weaker than the mid to late 2000s. I don't agree with that. I think the gap between the best teams in the Premier League and the worst teams in the Premier League is smaller than it has been in previous years. But again, like Chelsea just smashed Barcelona 3-0, who are one of the five best teams on the planet. Arsenal just beat Bayern Munich, and they're one of the best teams on the planet. Like Chelsea smashed PSG in the club, and Chelsea were firmly the fourth best team in England last year. They smashed the Champions League winners 3-0 in a final. Like the points totals are lower, but that I think that is mostly driven because the bottom of the Premier League, and particularly the middle of the Premier League, especially the middle of the Premier League, is so much better. So much better. So we'll see. Have I seen Seb backpedaling on Cucurella and Brazilian Scott Sinclair this week? Yeah, Seb's saying a lot of things this week. That Barcelona game, I think, hit pretty hard. But like, yeah, I don't know. Whatever. It's again, I there are opinions that Seb has that are very good. There are opinions that I have that are very good. There are opinions he has that are bad. There are opinions that I have that are bad. That we get them wrong. This is how life goes on, and it is what it is. So, what were my thoughts on the move to get Potter? I was very pro Graham Potter. I was very pro the hiring of Graham Potter. I thought his out of possession ideas were very modern. I thought his um, management style as a big picture was like really well suited to a modern big club. Um, and I think the thing, like reflecting on it, the thing that I missed and the thing that I got wrong about Potter to Chelsea is that I think the thing that I got very wrong was the in possession stuff was not that good. And it really, really, really does not like the top teams, the in possession situation that good teams play, like face week to week now, is so different from what a mid table or a lower mid table team faces in the Premier League. It is so different. It is so hard to scale. Like I actually thought like Potter's in possession ideas at Chelsea were actually pretty good. Like if you go back and look, the defensive metrics were not bad at all. Like they were firmly firmly top four in terms of defensive metrics. Um, but the in possession stuff was just a total disaster. Um, and yeah, like I think that I definitely underestimated. It's one of the things that like I looked at Maresca coming to Chelsea and I was like, well, the defensive stuff I have concerns about, the man to man stuff, but I thought the in possession fundamentals were like pretty clear that I wasn't super happy about it, but I thought he'd be fine. And he has been somewhat better than fine. Mostly because the defensive stuff has been better than I thought it would. But the attack has been kind of about as expected. Somebody asked if I was going to any of Canada's World Cup games. I can't remember who said that. I have not gotten picked in the lottery yet, so no. Um, but I'm gonna try. Uh, Delap hasn't played properly with Palmer yet. Um, and how bad will your take wondering how bad your Delap take is going to age when he finally plays with Palmer and puts up numbers. Listen, I will happily be wrong about Delap. And again, my original take on Delap was like I've seen enough and I think there's low enough downside that if it doesn't work out, you can move on. That I would do the I would do the gamble at the price. Um, that was my take. I don't think he will hit. Like, if you made me take, I don't know, if you gave me even odds that Delap ever scores more than 10 Premier League goals for Chelsea, I would definitely take the under. Like, I would bet he never scores 10 goals in a Premier League season for Chelsea. 0% chance. Not zero, but very unlikely to me. So, we'll see. We'll see what happens. But I hope I'm wrong. I like when the players Chelsea buy are good. And I will happily be wrong. Um, was I impressed or unimpressed by any of the Barcelona players? I thought Fermin had a very quiet game. I liked Ferran Torres. I really like Ferran Torres every time I watch him. Like you play that guy as a 9 and he's so good. I thought Kunde looked really poor, and I don't rate Kunde at all. Like one of the like sneaky weird, like one of the weird turning point things is that if the club is never sanctioned, their back four, like they 100% buy Jules Koundé. Like that deal was done. Um, Jonathan Bajoma just joined the chat and said, "Hey, I'm not watching the game, but just saw in FOTMOP they had an Ismail Assar chance from 40 yards at the 37th minute as 0.59 xG. Why is that?" Well, Mr. Bajoma, I will describe it as I will demonstrate for you what it looked like on the tactics board because it was pretty funny. Mike Penders was here and Ismail Assar was here shooting into an empty net. That's why it was that's why it's 0.6. Yeah, so that's what happened. He hit the post though. Uh do, 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 do. What do we see? Are Chelsea the most difficult team to analyze from an analytics perspective so far? Two paddlings, many red cards, fairly easy schedule. Yes, I think they're very difficult to project out. Um, like their 11v11 expected goal difference is the best in the league. But a lot of that, like half of that almost, is them just beating the brakes off of Spurs and whoever we played the week before Spurs that I can't remember. Wolves. So, yeah, I think they are very difficult. Would I go for Mateta in January with Delap going the other way on loan with an option? That's an interesting thought. Would I do like a Delap for Mateta in the summer or in January? I would if Palace were into it, there are worlds where I would do Mateta Delap tomfooleries. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think that would be I think Mateta Delap shenanigans would be very fun. Um ugh. Mm, Not based on the Chelsea game alone, but Yamal is not that good. He has an insane amount of usage, doesn't do that much, he's very wasteful. No, Yamal is really good. I don't agree with that. He is like the amount that he creates by himself is pretty bananas. Like yeah, his shot quality could be higher. Like 5 shots for 0.3 xg is not great. Um, but like the creation stuff as a passer and like his box attacking as a dribbler is pretty bananas. How do we look in big games when Palmer's back and we play Esteval? You can't do the James Gusto gimmick. You could just like one of Esteval and Palmer can play as a winger, which I think will happen. I think we will see like one of them play on the left rather as a left winger. I think that will happen. Mm, this is fun. Uh, do I think Jesse Derry could play a role next season? No. My general position is that if you ask me, can this young player play real minutes for you next year? My default answer is always no. Like, I don't want to upset our friend Mr. Youth in the chat, but I largely think like the gap between PL2 and playing actual minutes for a competitive top third team is humongous. Do I think like those guys could play? Like, do I think Jesse Derry and Shamuka um and whatever Harrison Murray Campbell, like whoever you want, do I think those guys could play like 500 minutes in all comps for the first team? Yeah, for sure. For sure, I think like they could be thereabouts, and it's not a huge problem. And like, there's 15-minute sub cameos there, and there's like a cup start there, and like Cardiff, I suspect we will see some kids play because it's in the middle of a really busy period. Um, and it'll be off. It's off the back of like a pretty difficult stretch of matches, so I think you'll see like maybe a Mayuka start or something. Um, but yeah, that's kind of where I'm at on those guys. If we played Cole and Esteval on the wing, probably sacrificing a lot defensively. No, I think Cole and Esteval have. I think Esteval in particular has surprised me how good he is defensively. I think you can get away with it. Are there any Canadian players you think could do well at Strasbourg? The only there's two. There's two that I think are really fun. There's a striker named Promise David who plays for Union Saint Galoise in Belgium. He's putting up 5 shots a game on very high XG. He scored again in the Champions League this week. his like background is so crazy. Um, he, for those who don't know, so Promise David, what is a Canadian guy who was like in Toronto FC's academy, young age groups. Okay, leaves Toronto FC's academy to go play for a semi-pro team in Canada. Leaves the semi, and he's like 15 or something. 2001. Yes, he's like no, he's like 17, 18. Leaves leaves the semi-pro team to go play for like a lower Croatian team. Leaves the Croatian team to go play for Tulsa in USL. Doesn't really play though. Goes to Malta. Scores a bunch of goals in Malta. Leaves Malta, goes to Estonia, goes from Estonia to Belgium, and has just continued to score all the way along the way. Very, very fun player. He's probably on the older end of what Strasbourg would do for. But like, you could talk me into it as like he'll be 25. I quite like Tani Olosei, who's definitely older than Strasbourg would buy. He just went to Villarreal. He had a very good goal scoring record in MLS, and he's got 2 goals in his first 590s for Villarreal, and is putting up very, very nice numbers there. He was very strong in MLS. Another player I really liked. I have a fun Tanny fact is that when he was being drafted in 2022, he was supposed to go considerably higher in the draft. He went first round, 17th overall, but he was going to be like a top 10 pick. And some of the MLS teams were asking people who knew him, and like I was like aware of college age Tanny and was like, no, he's pretty good. And one of his former coaches in Canada was like, no, he has a bad attitude. He's always late to training. Don't draft him. And so he fell to Minnesota, and then he got sold to Villarreal for like 10 million. All because a coach was like, nah, don't play him. Which I thought was pretty interesting. And Wassa says, okay, Kevin Denke numbers. Yeah, I think it's a similar move to Denke. So I don't know if that's the one you would end up doing. The other Canadian player that I quite like for Strasbourg is unfortunate because he's injured again, is Moise Bombito, who again is on the older side, but he is like a joke of a center back. Recovers into the channels well, very good in the air, stupid good passer, dribbles past people. Like, I think he's very, very good. If I was a lower mid-table Premier League team, like, that's a player I'd be taking a look at. Adam Knows Ball says you tweeted a while ago that Estevao left wing would look good with Palmer at right wing. What makes you say that? Estevao cutting in with his left foot for a shot or pass is insane. Yeah, I mean, Chelsea have a lot of good players. Like, sometimes people have to play in somewhat suboptimal positions to get more people on the field. I think the big thing with Estevao on the left is he's such a good passer, and he's such a good dribbler towards the line that like he gets lots of cutbacks and squares and crosses that are valuable. The same way, like when Madueke shifted left, he was still good. He wasn't as good, but he was still good. It's like I think for the team, it would be benefit. It would be a thing you could do. Should we be worried that we lost Neil Bath? I'm not sure if we have anyone replacing his role properly. I wonder if in 15 years we will look back and think about how big of a mistake we made. I think you're right that it's going to be that time scale. I think he was very, very good at what he does. But I think it's basically impossible for anyone to say from the outside. Fuzzbrain says, why not Palmer on the left? Yeah, I'm not fussy either way. I think Palmer has had more, like he's done more as the right winger coming inside. That makes it a little bit more interesting to me. Someone said thoughts on Yad Diomande. We talked about him a few streams ago that like the early data was interesting, and my take at the time was that I would have been more interested in like at the price and the number. I would have been more interested taking him than Gittins as a gamble, based on like what we saw. But it sounds like he had a good week in Champions League. I think I saw people tweeting about him, which was cool. So we will see. Somebody okay. So Nima just fully says, "Who's one big signing over 100 million that you would do that would make sense?" And someone before asked me about Mbappe and what I thought about Mbappe. Uh, the most interesting Mbappe story I have is that like when Mbappe moved from Monaco to PSG, it was one of the deals that StatsBomb consulted on with them and said they were like, how do you price this deal? Because based on what we have of like age 16, 17, 18, Kylian Mbappe, we think he's going to be the best player in the world. Whew, excuse me. How do we price this deal? And so they priced it at something like 180 million euros. And I think like they got that one pretty spot on for all parties. Like PSG are happy they paid it, and Monaco got a pretty fantastic fee for it. Um, I think in terms of like who's a huge money signing that would make sense for Chelsea. I mean, I think like you'd probably want a left winger, but like none of the super high market left wingers are really the guy you want. Like maybe Kavicha is interesting to you, but I don't think so. Um, Vinicius Jr., but I don't love Vinny. And Barry Rabbit says there were some questions about Vinny, and I think I said, yeah, like I don't. Vinny doesn't really do it for me. There's a kind of nasty giveaway by Penders there. In terms of like real expensive guys, like it's just the nines probably is where I end up. Like Holland, Kane. Kane's probably on the older side of what you would want now, but um, like I don't know. The big strikers though, I think is the one mega signing you would do. But I think to be honest with you, I don't think Barcola would be interesting. I think that would be a mega move. I would be very into Barcola. By the way, you want to talk about things like what would you do as sporting director? Like I would be whispering sweet nothings into his agent's ear every week. Just like, yeah, you'd start here, every game. You on one wing, Estevao on the other, Cole Palmer in between, just every week. That would be me. Just like me calling in, just be like, bonjour, ça va? Comment ça va? Oui, 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 oui. Chelsea, les Bleus, Chelsea. That would be me every week. Doku, uh, Osimhen, some other names in there. I would not be mad if they did Osimhen. Just putting that out there. You could do a lot worse. I'm trying to think who else like. ZZZ says Musiala. Musiala, I don't know. I got some. I'm certainly waiting a bit on that one with the injury and like Bundesliga tax. But honestly, like I think the days of Chelsea buying £100 million players is like kind of done. Are there any nines right now that are guaranteed hits if we signed them, excluding Holland, Kane, and other guys we wouldn't sign? Ew. I don't know. I do think the nine market is like what has very much happened in like the transfer fee world, right? Is that because of global interest rates increasing, we're going to get real nerdy. Because of global interest rates increasing and because of PSR and FFP and all those sorts of things, the top end of transfers has compressed. There is like there's very, 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 very few transfers who even get up to like the big numbers. Like you have Isak and Verts who moved for huge numbers this summer, but like those are very much the exception, not the norm. And I think both of them being like fairly mid means teams will like increasingly not do that. What that means is that the middle and the bottom of like good transfers have been slowly squeezed up. So you have like Ekatike and Voltamata, who like Voltamata moved for like 65 or whatever, and Ekatike was 85, where maybe 5 years ago those guys are 45 and 65 or are 35 and 50. Um, and so I think when you think about like globally who's the big striker that's a hit, I think what has happened is like you have the hits who are like huge numbers, and then you have like a whole bunch of varying degrees of gambles at different prices. And the bigger the error bars, the lower the price. And so I think when you look at guys like Chelsea getting Omega pretty early, like traditionally, Omega looks like someone that West Ham or Everton or Brighton or like Brentford or somebody would sign. And Chelsea are like, no, we're just going to skip a step and we're just going to get that guy now and hope he works out. Panicelli, I think, is like vaguely in the same vein. Guiu is like a little bit different because he's much younger and there was like the whole academy release clause thing. So like we'll see. I think the real play with the striker market is you get a bunch of the 30 million guys and hope one works out. What happens to Gittins and Garnacho if we get Barcola? You move one, and I'll tell you which one of those guys I'm moving. That's why we're going to move Jackson for 65, 70. Yeah, I think you'll get a really solid. I think if you choose to move Jackson, you'll get a good fee. And I think worst case, like you banked 15 million for him on loan and you just bring him back. JL2747 says Samu. Yeah, Samu's like, again, another one in that bucket of like interesting guys. Samu is weird though because like he has a weird release clause and is scoring a lot of goals for Porto, and there's like questions about his ownership with Atleti, and like Chelsea not getting Samu when they got Felix is like a problem. Like that's the one I think that like you look back at and you're like, oh, that one was really bad. Chelsea Blue says Jackson to Villa. What do you think? I think if we El Capitan, the man, the myth, the legend, runs into the box and gets good shots. Liam Delap has scored 0 Conference League goals. Liam Delap, I think he did score against Palace last year. I was going to say he's never scored against Palace, but I think he did for Ipswich. I think this was a Morera assist too. Great little pass by Nanasi. I quite like Nanasi too. Like, he's not a Chelsea level guy, but he's like firmly in the like fun mid-table creator guy bracket. Nice. Just get it on target and it'll go in. Jackson to Villa. Yeah, Jackson to Villa I think would be interesting if they moved Watkins or Rogers. Either of those guys. And I think you can get some useful run with Jackson. That's my biggest worry is that we end up going and buying Rogers, and I would cry because I think that guy sucks. Amiga with James Palmer, Enzo Steve might be scoring tap-ins. You never know. You never know. Seb doesn't rate Amiga because he mishits all of his shots. What's your take on his actual play? So I think like it is true that Omega is a not great ball striker, and if you told me that his stat profile at Chelsea looks very similar to Jackson's, where there are lots of high quality shots, and he is behind his xG every season, right? Like if you told me that was the case for Omega, I would totally believe you, right? I think if you told me in the long term that he is a negative finisher, I'd believe you. However, the quality and volume of chances that he creates, it doesn't matter. Like again, from a pure like resource optimization standpoint, if you have a striker who gets 10 xg and is a plus 10% finisher, which was like an amazing guy, an amazing guy, or you have a striker who gets 20 xg and is a negative 20% finisher, the worst finisher of all time, that is still someone who scores 16 goals versus 11, right? Like it is obviously worthwhile. The thing you are trying to maximize in your squad building is goals and goal difference. It is not G minus XG. So, like, I actually don't care if I have all of the worst finishers in the world if they generate so much XG that I don't care. Like that they score enough that I don't care. Because that's the main thing, right? So when I look at Amiga, I'm like, yeah, if you told me he's a bad finisher at Chelsea, I would believe you. But if you told me he scored 10 goals off the bench as just like shithouse scrub a dub dub, the worst goals you've ever seen, I would also believe you. Oh, and Ciso caught that quite nicely. So I get it. Wassa says, how sabermetrics of you? But no, but seriously, I think from a squad building perspective, like the thing you are trying to maximize is goal difference. So every transfer is like how do we maximize our goal difference over X amount of years? And I think when you look at like Nimedes Philly makes a good reference here. Like Yildiz is overperforming XG and doesn't create enough of it. Barcola would be a much more likely hit for the same price. Like it's again, Yildiz like scores at an almost okay rate because he just blows his XG out of the water because the guy spanks the ball. He scores it and creates it like a probably pretty good rate. And his passing stuff, I think, is pretty real with Yildiz. But like 7 and 27 is like not 80 million winger for me. So even if that's all he is, and then when you look at it and you're like, well, actually over his career, he probably won't be 7 and 27. He'll probably be 5 and 27. Then you're like, well, no, definitely not. So that's my my Amiga thing. But on his like more general play, I don't think he's a good passer. I don't think he dribbles well. I don't think he links play. I think he is an okay but not good presser. Like he will chase a little bit, but his angles aren't very good. And that's a thing that I suspect like you come to Chelsea and he will get better at it because he has to get better at it. But like the thing he does is get into the box and get 3 shots a game, and those 3 shots are all good shots. And like for someone who I anticipate to not be my starting striker, but to be a squad player striker, totally cool with that profile. And particularly when the shape of his stuff is like he runs in behind and he attacks crosses. Like that's the thing I want, is like running behind and attack crosses. Wassa says I'd enjoy him as a 19, not a 9. Yeah, like he's not my. I think there are very few worlds where he is the starter. But a lot of worlds where he's like Remy off the bench. Oh my goodness, Ducore. That is the second hysterical Strasbourg giveaway. This is very funny. Chelsea Blue 881 says, hope you saw my previous message, sent a next one. I remember when you talked about Steve at the start of the season. I believe he's exceeded your expectation and mine. We actually have a superstar in the making. Yeah, my prediction for Estevao was that he would put up 6 goals, 5 assists, and or six goals and assists in 1590s, and I believe he is already at that. Um, he is at, in all competitions, 5 goals and assists in 690s, 790s. So yeah, he's already there. So definitely under anticipated that one. But he's very good. He's a legit superstar. Obidi says Kareem Konate. The only thing I remember about Kareem Konate is him being a wonder kid on FM because he played for ASEC Mimosas, I think. It's a lot of goals last season. This season, not so many goals. It's very interesting. I am very skeptical of Strasbourg, of Salzburg translation. They are so dominant in their league, even though they haven't won the league last year. I am very skeptical of RBE translation. They just play such a unique style that, like, it's kind of awkward. So we'll see. I don't know how this game is 1-1, and also Penders has only made one save. Nimedes Felice says Petar Sucic. That's the guy who I think played for Dinamo. And if I recall correctly, he had very good data for Zagreb. People like really liked him moving to Inter. That is some ball progression, boy. This is very nice. This feels very Enzo Fernandez coded, like just huge passing numbers, but also like getting on the ball high up the pitch stuff. Not so much like deep progressor. Like this, like I think you said midfield you said midfield depth, not deep in midfield. Yeah, like defensively a bit ropey here. But like, sure. I think like ultimately from a midfield perspective, right? Like I think about my optimal midfield composition at Chelsea, and I think my optimal midfield composition at Chelsea is 5 guys. It is Enzo Caicedo together. It is it's Enzo Caicedo and Andre, those 3 guys, and then I want 2 other guys. I want one guy who can play as a 6 and an 8, who like is Romeo Lavia shaped but better. So like, but skews mostly 6. Right now, that player is a Sugo. And then I want one guy who skews 8-10, who like can fill in Palmer minutes, but is like better as a box threat than Andre. You know what I mean? So like, those are the 2 guys I want from a vague thing. So like, really, that could be at Chelsea. That could be a Sugo and Keanu Dyer or something like that. But that's kind of my like, if I'm a team, I want to carry those 5 guys, and then especially if you play a 4-2-3-1, because then you have guys like Estevao who are winger 10s, so like they can spend some time there, and then you have like 9-10s who can spend some time there. But you always have the 5 guys to cover, and you're always good. That's my thing. Like 8-10, good ball retention, but also like good amount of box crashing. A couple of people guys have said Fermin. Like Fermin, I was pretty interested in. I thought the data looked really good, but I just get real nervous about Barca, man. Like Barca play such a mind warping style in La Liga that I think they're very hard to evaluate. that they can be very, very difficult to evaluate. A couple people are sending Keith Smith. I think we talked about him on stream maybe a few months ago. Yeah, I mean, this is like pretty good. It's not. I'm curious what his split of like midfielder versus actual 10 looks like. Yeah, like there's a lot of winger minutes in here before the midfielder minutes. I would probably want more direct shot production just looking at. Yeah, just looking at this, like I would probably want more. I think. Like only 4xG plus XA in 1690s is like not quite in that league plus conference league is not quite the level that I think I'm looking at. Again, 19, let's see, you never know. Let's see. Chen Yu Zhang says, "Hi Kieran, you probably didn't see my previous comment. I'm very curious about your prediction of our Premier League goal count from our players and how much each can improve to win the league." Yeah, I'm not going to go through every player and like project out their goals, but I think from kind of big picture, you are probably hoping that like you're probably hoping Delap is giving you like 15 goal contributions. You're probably hoping that Esteval can give you 15 goal contributions. You're probably hoping that Garnacho can give you 15 goal. Like you're hoping. I think Enzo Maresca had a comment about like I want all my guys to get 10 goals. I don't want the striker to have 40 goals. And I think that's very much how Chelsea's squad is like built. And I think the ideal version of Chelsea's team that looks like a league winning team is you have like Garnacho gives you like 8 and 6 in 25 90s. And Esteval gives you like 10 and 10 in 30 90s. And Delap gives you a bunch, and Gittins gives you like 6 and 6 in 20 90s, something like that. Like you're just getting 6 goals here, 7 assists here, so on, so on, so on, and all of that. But I think if Chelsea want to be like a legit title contender to win the league, like I think the number we've said is they have to score 80 goals. So they have to put up 18 more than last year, which so far is not going to be the case. So we'll see. Dual K says Esteval is at 6 goals and assists. He got one in Cara Bobbins. Yes. Oh yeah, against Wolves. Yeah, so he is at 6 in like 790s. So like yeah, he's killing it. He's much better than I thought he'd be. Chemo Andre. I think we talked about him because I remember his name didn't come up, right? He had a weird name. Kema Andres, that's it. Yeah, and I said the data looked really good, if I remember, because I remember the Baishuli. Yeah, a lot of passes, a lot of ball wins. And I was like, oh, okay, I'll be keeping an eye on this. Palmer will come back and get 40 Prem goals and assists. Trust the process. Well, he definitely won't this year. He's just missed too much time. But if he did, that'd be dope. Ruben says Dewsbury Hall. Yeah, if Dewsbury Hall worked, you would have been super happy about it. He's more like 10 winger than he is 8-10. David Moyes is doing an AMA on r/soccer. No way. Is he really? All right, sure. Okay, this will be so interesting. I gotta make sure that I don't have anything on here that's gonna like dox me. Oh, whatever, it's fine. I don't care. David, British managers rarely go abroad, but you spent a year at Sociedad and beat Barcelona. Is there anything that surprised you about La Liga? It was a great move for me at the time. Very few British managers. Big leagues in Europe have never been filled by British managers since Terry Venables, Bob Robinson, Howard Kendall. San Sebastian's fabulous. They taught me a lot. Um, that's cool. That's a cool. This is fun. I have a lot of time for Moyes. Like it's probably like not super analyticsy, but I have a lot of time for guys like Moyes and Big Sam and Daesh and the guys who are legitimately very good coaches, but are stylistically not very aesthetically pleasing. Um, I have a lot of time for those guys. Um, and what's funny is like if you guys ever watched a team that I coach, like we play the worst soccer. Like we play, I would fit in 4-4-2 shuffle ball. Um, like it's not fun to watch, but it works. So, Chelsea Blue says if you include Palmer XG with our current XG for the team, where would we be? Well, you can't really do it like that because he has to replace somebody. But like if you were to say, let's just like eyeball this. Palmer's played 2 of 12. Let's say he played 8 of 12. And let's say he is half of a goal better than the players that have played ahead of him. Peno has to be. Big chance Amiga misses a sitter, but might be a penalty. Let's see. And then I'll continue my thought. Yeah, I mean that's looks pretty clearly a penalty to me. I mean, maybe not actually. He kind of like slides for it and just gets muscled out of it. Um so yeah, if you were to do the math and say like Palmer is half a goal better than the guys he played, then Chelsea would be 3 goals better off, and a goal is worth like roughly 1 goal of goal difference is worth roughly like half a point. So Chelsea would be 3 points better off or something like that. They'd be 2 points better off. Like vaguely something like that is how I would probably call it. Um, Chelsea have done quite well to get what they've gotten out of it. They set up a boxing match with gloves between Decore and Keane at Everton training ground. Yes, I saw that. That was very funny. I did see that. On March 2004, I was lucky enough to attend the same FA Cup game as you did, watching Tranmere Millwall. I asked you for thank you for the autograph. My dad butted his head in and told you to stop picking Lee Carsley. Thirdly, Tranmere lost, but I noticed Tim Cahill scored, so I'm glad you were there too. Was that the day you made your decision? Tim Cahill was one of the biggest stories. I remember bringing Bill Kenwright with me to watch Millwall. The car got bashed. That's funny. There was Moyes is on Moyes was on the podcast with what's his name, Gary Neville and like all those guys, and he was talking about United, and it was like pretty open and honest, I think, which was cool. Which player caused you the most headache in pre-match analysis? Lampard and Drogba, Alonso, Steven Gerrard, Odegaard, David Silva. That's fun. This is cool. I also like have always weirdly had a weird soft spot for Everton. I have it at my mom's house. I don't have it here, but I have a bunch of old Everton stuff because Everton were the partner club for the provincial team in Canada. We were sponsored by Everton. So our gear was all red and it had the Ontario badge. And then on the right, it had the Everton badge with Neil Sathis Nisi Optimum. And they would bring a coach over to like run sessions and stuff every year. And we had like what's his name? Thomas Radzinski, I think, played for Everton at the time, and he was Canadian, Polish Canadian. But yeah, it was a weird like Everton connection. Can I do a breakdown of Fafana? He's very interesting because when I watch Saliba, I ask myself, can Fafana reach those levels because he was rated higher? not now because I don't feel like breaking down video, but maybe at some point in the future. I think the thing with Fofana in relation to Saliba is much better. Um, Saliba is much better, like being patient and waiting and evaluating. Fofana, I think, is very good, um, particularly when he's fit. But he is like a dog with separation anxiety. He's like, "Arf!" and goes like, "I'm gonna go win the ball." Like he's not. Oh, big save, Pendy. Let's go. Match-winning save from Pendy. Big Spenny Penders. This game has opened up a lot. I barked and then Penders turned into a dog. Oh, free kick on the edge too. Let's go. I want bring on Pais just for this. I think he actually just came on. I was like only half paying attention. That's a big, a very good save by Spenny Penders. Oh, he cheats so early in the 1v1 that like you are gonna go near post, which is kind of an ick, but good save though. And he's just massive, man. Like he is such a large human being. Somebody told me that he wears size 13 shoes, by the way. That's a story somebody told me. Let's see. I assume from this angle it'll be in CISO, but maybe he just like rips it top corner. Oy! Oy! Nice free kick. Nice free kick and good reaction to the rebound. A famous victory in the Alsace if they hold on to this. Who El Mourabet? I'm pretty sure that was Brentford's sponsor for a year. El Mourabet. It's one of those dodgy firms that the Athletic outed as like not a real company. Nice. Very nice. It's actually like a very good free kick too. Okay. Very decent. Yeah, I've had enough of Moisey. What else? What other questions did we have in here? Have I seen the Ian Wright clip talking about media's perception on black players? I did. I assume this was the clip about Paul Pogba and like they want humble and Jude Bellingham and like they want humble players like Conte. They don't want like black stars, which I think is 2000% true. Yeah, I think again, listen, we can talk about like racism in football and like the more like direct like explicit like monkey chants and bananas being thrown and like obviously that horrible stuff. But I think that the actually much more rampant thing is um like Seb talked about I think he posted a Substack or something about like positional stacking that like black players can only play certain positions. Like there are still to this day very few black goalkeepers. Um but also like things like the language that gets used to describe players like pace and power is one obvious one, right? Like then that's the one everyone talks about. But I think even like I think, for example, Moises Caicedo, incredibly smart footballer. What mostly gets talked about with him is his ability to cover ground. So like, okay. But even like you look at the reaction to like Trev makes a mistake versus like Anselmi. I just it is like very much a thing. Um, it's very much a thing for sure, and it's like it's an important. I think actually like a really the Houston Rockets under Daryl Morey used to have a rule in their scouting department that if you were scouting a player, you had to make a cross racial comparison. So you were not allowed to compare white players to white players. You were not allowed compare Asian players to Asian players. I don't know if that rule held up for black players with black players because in the NBA, like it's mostly black players, but you had to make cross racial comparisons to avoid like, oh, this is a tall, skinny white guy who can shoot. Like he is Duncan Robinson's comp is JJ Redick when like Duncan Robinson and JJ Redick play nothing alike, but they're both white guys who can shoot. And so I think like I remember having a conversation with someone at Leicester. Um, actually, I can whatever. I'll just say Mladen Sormaz, who runs um, a club in the championship now. I actually don't know who he works for now. This is a very niche, random thing. Oh, he left. He left Barnsley in September. Well, he Mladen was at Leicester at the time, and when it was after Conte had left, and they brought in Nampalys Mendy, and we were chatting, and I said something like, "I can't wait for people to compare Mendy and be like, yeah, he's Conte," and he's like, already, he's like, even like immediately, people were like, oh yeah, small black guy from France, he's Conte, even though they play nothing alike and totally different quality realms. Um, that was the comp that people had, and so it's like it's just something to be mindful of. Um, and so you will often hear like when I get asked for player comps, like I really try to be very deliberate about cross racial comps because it's hard. It's like it's hard to do, and that's not really about like the black superstar versus humble guy thing, but I think it is a thing to be cognizant of. How would I rank the Brexit managers compared to other stereotypically defensive ones like Allegri, Simeone? I think that the big difference between the like Brexit means Brexit managers, Dyche, Allardyce, Moyes, whatever. Whee! That would have been nasty. Payet should score. He should score. It's a great chop, though. I think he sent Mark to the cleaners. It's a good save. Or is that was that Canvo? I think that he just rinsed. Uh, I think I think the difference between those guys, like Simeone and Allegri, and then the English guys, is that Simeone and Allegri got like legitimately the world's best players to buy into doing that style, and that is tremendously underrated. Um, like again, being able to get the best players in the world to play the way you want, um, is a huge skill. Ruben says, "Have you talked about Kenda?" Yeah, we talked about Kenda earlier. That like he's doing his thing. It sounds like Chelsea are going to bring him back, but I don't know what's going to happen. So we'll see from there. Some talk about the coefficient, but I think England are very fine on the coefficient. Do I think if Jude was playing for United, Arsenal, Liverpool, the media would not have targeted him? I realize if an English player succeeds outside of England, few done rates. Yeah, I mean, I think it would be probably less of a problem, but I think he has like even with England, right? We're like, okay, that's not a club thing. Even with England, I think people look at him a certain way. So we're 1.5 ahead of second. I don't honestly know really how the coefficient like is one game a win or whatever. Um, I don't know. I think Arsenal will win the Champions League and we'll be fine. Which I hate to say, but I think it's going to happen. We'll see. 2 points per teams in Europe for a win. Oh, 2 points divided by teams. So if you win a game and you have 10 teams, you get 0.2 points. I see. Cool. So like 1.5 is actually a lot of points for England to be ahead. And that's ahead of second, and the top two. How far ahead of third are they? Because really, it's the top two get the 5, right? Bonus points for. So they're 1.4 ahead of. They're 1.4 ahead of third. Okay. Well, the mighty French bringing up the rear here. Oh, we'll see. Winning evil Arsenal to win the double. Yeah, I think Arsenal are the best team in the world. Have I talked about the MLS changing their schedule to be in line with Europe? I can't remember if I did on the podcast. I did on ASA, which was cool. Oh, I haven't talked about my trip to NWSL, to the NWSL Championship at all. That was pretty fun. We went to. I went and saw Spirit Gotham in San Jose. I went and saw Spirit Gotham in San Jose. I was briefly in the same room as Emma Hayes, which was cool. I was not like talking to her. She was like surrounded by reporters on the other side, and I was like, that's not happening. Chatted with some agents, chatted with some players, chatted with some team folks. We will see what happens with Trinity Rodman in January. I did not get any IT Kier information in relation to her potentially joining Chelsea, which I was kind of hoping for, but I did not get. But it was cool. It was like it was a real like event, I will say. Like it was a real central venue-y thing. Like there was a lot of people there, and it was a cool. It was a very cool thing, and met a lot of journalists and a lot of whatever. Wass's gut feeling Rodman stays in the States. My feeling is that she will stay in Washington as well. Is that she will get a contract that will look like it will be the maximum they could possibly give her, and it will have escalators to match exactly that, is my guess. So we'll see. How big of a deal would it be if she joined Chelsea? Trinity Rodman is a freakishly good attacker. She also plays, I think, the position that Chelsea women are weakest at as a winger. I will say, in relation to Chelsea getting her, I am not skeptical, but like she's had a lot of injury problems and a lot of like bad injury problems, like backs and knees and like things that you squint at as like, ooh, I don't know if I want to give her a massive contract given all that. It's like, I don't know. ZZZ says you got a Chelsea tattoo. Yeah, I did. You can't really, I don't know if you can see it, but I got the ball, the flower, and the staff from the badge just on my arm right there. But Chelsea have not conceded a goal since I did it. So, like, if you guys want to keep the clean sheet going, the clean sheet stretch going on Sunday, I think somebody has to sacrifice for the next game. But, yeah. Was says a contract has to make sense and there'll be a lot of money tied up in LJ and Rodman for players that won't play half the season. Yeah, like there's a world, in an ideal world, you'd have like LJ off the left, Rodman off the right, and you're like, oh my God. And then you realize they would play together 390s a year. I'm like, okay, probably not worth it then. So that's ultimately what I think will be the holdup, is she'll stay in Washington. Because I suspect that her European contract options will not be as high as people think. She also had a really bad final. She was like clearly crocked and couldn't move. So we'll see. We will see. Yeah. We will see. I think injury prone players almost always do, but I also think there's like DC is a pretty cool place to be. The National Training Center for the US is opening in Atlanta next year. So like you're not that far away. I think NWSL are like a pretty big, like I think they're headed very much in the right direction. So and I think like if you're an American star, like you look at the other Americans who've moved, like Alyssa Thompson's fairly early in her career. Lindsay Horan is like, or I guess Lindsay Heaps now is like, has been in France for a long time. Like NWSL wasn't what it was when she left. I'm trying to think the other Rapinoe was there and then came back. Like there's not that many Americans in Europe. They mostly stay. And she has like crazy, yeah, Germa is the big one, fair I guess. But Germa's also fairly young in her career. Like there's not and Germa's like Stanford kid. I don't think there's that many. And she is huge in the US. Like she has, I'll put it this way. It was a neutral venue. It was a neutral venue final. And when she subbed in, was the loudest moment in the entire stadium with the exception of the winner. By a lot. It was so loud. Macario went straight out of college. Yes, Kat Macario also went straight from college to Lyon. And Kat Macario is also like I think she's Brazilian. Like I'm pretty sure she only lived in the US like for college. Actually, I should check that. I don't know if that's true. Let's see. When did she move back to the US? She moved to the US at 12. So like I can see her being whatever about it. Can you scroll up, read my second to last message? I think when we were on Racismo stuff. I wish England would have more players calling out the racist bullshit from some of the media. Like I saw that one Alistair Johnson tweet that went viral. I did not see the Alistair Johnson tweet, so I would love to see that if you want to send it to me on Twitter. But yeah, I agree. I do think like players have a there is an onus on other players to say something. I think for sure is the case. I'm just going to say, by the way, Strasbourg, down 1-0. Bring on Chilwell, win 2-1. Just putting it out there. Big Chile wins football matches. Bananas Rock, just going back to my question on where you would rank Enzo in terms of top 10 midfielders in the world. I don't think he's quite there, but is worthy of an honorable mention. Whew. So I listened to the beginning of that episode, and it was directly from the player himself. Let me go. Alistair. I don't know if I follow him on Twitter. Let's see. I don't see it. Don't see it. I like Alistair though. He's a good. Oh yes, I do remember this. I do remember this. Yes, in relation to the immigrant team. Yes. Um, yeah, Alistair's a good guy. Alistair is like I bumped into him a few times in similar social circles. He's a really good guy. 10 out of 10 human being. Yeah, that's cool. Nice win for Strasbourg. The top midfielders, I think their top three was or their top four in some denomination was Pedri. It was Pedri, Rice, Caicedo, Vitinha. I think was the top four, which I think is like a fine place to be. Um, I think like I think I don't know. Let me just like think about I don't know. What I don't even know where I'm going to get like okay, you guys are going to laugh at me. Um does Foothead still exist? Like I'm just going to sort Oh, Foothead doesn't exist anymore. That's really sad. Footbin, this one still exists. Let me just like sort by midfielders and sort by rating and let me just go through and I'm going to find guys positions. So I will say for their list, they did not include, and I only want gold cards. I want regular golds. Okay. And I only want men's. Whatever, I don't care. Is there a way to kick it? Okay, whatever. That's fine. They also I don't know, they also had like a bunch of caveats about age in there. Like Rodri definitely top 10, Jude definitely top 10. Verts I don't think is top 10. That's very aggressive to me. Valverde I think is top 10. Vitinha is top 10. Kimmich, Pedri, sure. Musiala is like not really a midfielder in my head. Frankie I think is like probably overrated. Caicedo for sure. Declan Rice for sure. Is Enzo Fernandez top 10? Probably not, but he's not far off. Also, is Enzo Fernandez like. Why haven't I. Excuse me. Listen, I have not played FIFA in a very long time, okay? Just gonna put that out there. Not played FIFA in a very long time. Enzo Fernandez is lower rated than Granit Xhaka? That's a real thing? They mentioned Szoboszlai in the top 10. Patrick had Szoboszlai close to Caicedo. I think Szoboszlai is very good. He was when Liverpool bought him. I was like, I kind of really wanted him at Chelsea. I think he's very good. Um, so somebody's saying go on So FIFA. They have the latest squad updates. Okay, let's go. Let's just go look at Chelsea. How did trending Chelsea and Strasbourg were top? Okay. Um, yeah, that's pretty crazy to me. Many people say Reggie Walsh is the English Pedri. Do you agree? Do you think he has his potential? If Reggie Walsh is half as good as Pedri, his career has turned out very good. It's hard to project. And Pedri is very good. Whew. Okay, let's see. Um, João Pedro is probably too low. He's probably like an 81 or 82. Palmer's too low. I think the wingers are all like maybe one or two too low. I like Andre Santos. I like Enzo. I think is like an 86. If I had to like give you a number, this is so ridiculous. I'm making up FIFA ratings. Yeah, I would say Chelsea as a whole are like kind of low. Feels weird to me. Does not. Yeah, this does not. I can scroll down for potentials. Okay. Thank you, ZZZ. Potentials. Chaloba 82. Caicedo 90. Enzo 87. Palmer 90. Garnacho 84. Andre Santos 87. Estevao 89. Sure. Lavia 85. Fofana 82 is too low, even as a hater. Gittins 85. Also Barbadian. Oh, this is fun. They have the second nationalities here. This is fun. I don't even know. Who we got here. Chaloba is also Sierra Leonean. This I knew. What other fun ones we got? Cole Palmer, St. Kitts and Nevis. Yeah. Fofana Ivorian. Gusto, I don't know what country this is. Syria? Martinique? Nope, not Syria. Hato Curacao. Gittins Barbados. George Nigeria. Achampong Ghana. Bonanate. Slonina Poland. This was like there's a fun Slonina like nearly declared for Poland. That was like a thing. Asugo Angola. Omar, I thought this was two English flags for a second. That's fun. Jackson, the Gambia. Keanu Dyer, Montserrat. Let's go. I want Keanu Dyer starting for Montserrat. I want that to happen. Okay. Well, Strasbourg won, so that was fun. Maybe I have cleared. Maybe I like wiped out the curse. By the way, maybe I cleared out the watch along curse. So we're gonna watch along against Arsenal. We're not gonna watch along against Arsenal. But yeah, so we play Arsenal Sunday. I'll watch that and then I'll stream after, and we'll talk about it, and then I'll probably do a podcast after that, separately. Yeah, I think I'm trying to decide what I want to do with the YouTube channel in general. Because, and I'm curious what the people who are here think, because if you're here, you're a real sicko. Like, so when I make YouTube videos, the channel grows more than when I stream. However, I like streaming because it's much more interactive, right? Like we can have a full conversation. I think that's really cool, and we go to a bunch of different places. So like maybe I do both, but then that's a whole lot of effort. I don't know. I don't know what I don't know what direction I'm going to take the YouTube channel. The other thing that is interesting to think about is like the I don't know how many transfer videos I'm going to do in the future, mostly because I had a Y Scout account. Okay? I had a Y Scout account, and the Huddle bought Y Scout and then increased the price by a factor of 21 in the space of a year. They went, my membership 2 years ago was $120 a year. And this year they were like, yeah, it's $2,100 a year now. And I was like, I'm not spending that. So I don't have Y-Scout anymore. So it's like, I don't know what I'm going to do with the transfer videos. Hire a VOD editor. No, I can't monetize the channel, so I'm not going to spend any money on it. Keep streaming post podcast episodes of videos. I think that's probably what I'm going to end up doing. But what ends up happening is people are like, well, I want the stream as a podcast too. So I might put out both. Something like that. We'll see. But if there's things you want to see on the channel or specific things that you're like, oh, I wish we talked about this more, let me know. Because I'm like, I will say last year we hit a point where like the middle 4 months of the season, the podcast was very boring because it was every week. It was like, I don't know, Chelsea are fine. I want to check. I went to check StatsBomb account to do YouTube videos as well, and people keep telling me it's around 3,000. Um, yeah, StatsBomb's even more expensive than Wiseco. So we'll see. You can't monetize the channel yet. You only need 1K subs right now. Yeah, so I have like the partner channel criteria because it's watch hours and subscribers. However, I cannot because I'm on a work visa, and it apparently counts as working. And they would kick me out of ICE would come to my door. You thought the Bolivia stream was bad? There'd be someone knocking on my door, kicking me out of the country. So we'll see. We'll see what I do. But if there's things you want me to talk about more, like let me know. Particularly for the middle of the season, because like I said last year it turned into like I don't know. Chelsea are pretty good. Like they're not going to drop, I think, that much. And then it was just like reviewing metrics every week, and they just were pretty stable for a long time. So some stuff about like looking at the league things or like bigger pictures and whatever. Patrick Schick says, "What happened in the Bolivia stream? Ice did not come to my door in the Bolivia stream. In the Bolivia stream, we were watching Bolivia and it got copyrighted. We were watching Germany Bolivia from USA '94, and it got copyrighted, so we had to close the stream and then start a new one. More collabs. Yeah, I think that's the one. I think we'll get some guests, and we'll see. I've been trying to set up something with someone from Chelsea, but we'll see. It hasn't come about yet, but we'll see. Forest are winning. They're beating Malmo, so that's good. Oh, they won. They won 3-0. There you go. Win for the coefficient. Anyways, we're going to wrap it all up there. We'll talk Sunday after Arsenal. We'll see how she goes. But as always, my friends, enjoy the soccer.